There she is, my beautiful Forbidden Rite, once again brought back to life in the Crucible League. We are in the very early stages of my Forbidden Rite build. Mind you, very early. Some of the gear pieces that I have are better than my budget POB that I will put in the description box below, the one that I made a video about, as well as some pieces are different or just straight up worse. I kind of wanted to switch a little earlier than I had planned because I'm struggling to make some decent currency at the moment. I literally have only received one natural raw divine orb on the floor, where others have found many more in their searches of currency. It's been a bit of a weird league start for me. A lot of struggles, a lot of problems to fix in the builds I was league starting with. But it has been a overall positive experience, and I think I'm better off for it. Most importantly, I've got here a proof of concept that I can actually switch quite comfortably, which is the important part, to Forbidden Rite much earlier. I was expecting to really have to heavily rely on the Progenesis, but I don't see a Progenesis. We also have Permanent Haste active already. We have some Immortal Cold tech. We'll go through these things in just a little bit. But if you are wondering about the build itself, I'll put a POB to the budget version, as well as to the planned end game version, and I say that with a significant heavy air quote because I've got some ideas. There's some new tools introduced this league which allowed for a quicker switch to Forbidden Rite as well, which is very comfy, but also some new end game tech that I might integrate. For example, Petrified Blood might be included in the end game as a result of the Vision Jewel. We have paths, we have options. It's going to be interesting to see where I can take this build this league. Let's talk a little bit about what I have so far and what you can expect to comfortably change into Forbidden Rite. So let's get a little bit more into detail about some of the struggles I'm currently having as I just switched in Forbidden Rite today, live on stream, twitch.tv/wolvesgorar. A lot of people are switching with me. They're building their own versions. We're theory crafting what we could change in the future. I've heard the word Petrified Blood more times than I can count today, as a result of a special gem that was released this league, the Ancestral Vision. Perhaps there's a future where we don't have to run, well, Purity of Elements, giving us a lot of reservation back. Maybe we can run our Grace. Maybe we can run some different stuff. Although we have to find other solutions for the elemental resistances as well as mitigation that we can leverage through the Watcher's Eye and such. So one change does give way to a different path, but also different obstacles to overcome. We're theory crafting, but first we must make the build work before we make it work better. Now, right now, our flasks are not up permanently. As you can see, this is a problem. During mapping, not a problem. During longer single target boss fights, it is. So I'm not bossing yet. Like I said, I just switched. Still missing a lot of pieces. However, if I hit myself, we have permanent endurance charges, as well as free spell casting of the Haste Divine Blessing link without needing ult qualities like some people leverage, which is very comfortable. Also, we don't have Curse immunity anymore because we lost the Jewel from the Sanctum League, but we do have Immortal Coal now, which synergizes nicely with the self-hitting endurance charge gaining that we do. And it's an instant cast, so you can just walk around and use it. It's very nice for if you want to tank a big hit, or if you know you're opening up a strong box and it gets a little, well, spicy, you can hit it and it's fine because it's a low cooldown. We still are leveling it up as well. It's not even a quality yet, so it already has saved me quite a bit of hassle. So permanent haste, the occasional Val haste on top of that. As long as our flasks are active, we are not killing ourselves, as you can see. We are healing more than we do damage, which is very lovely. And we have Frostblink, which allows me to keep casting as long as my flasks are active and move around during packs, which actually kind of automates the kiting aspect of certain boss fights as well, which is very useful. Crucible is a bit of a pushover as a result of that. Now, so it's pretty much a 3-button build. Well, 4 buttons. We have the Forbidden Rite, which is the right mouse button for me, the Q for the Immortal Coal, my movement skill on the W, and haste on E. And since I hold down left click Val haste, it doesn't even count as a button at this point. We have the basic auras, low level vitality for the Watcher's Eye, Purity of Elements, obviously, Herald of Agony, and Malevolence as well. So we are running everything. Now, You won't be able to run everything until you have at least a level 2 Enlighten. Now, luckily, I've got a level 3. My corruption didn't work. But as a result of this mana node over here that we now have access to this league, you could spec into mana reservation and run all your auras. Not a problem. That's what I did prior to having Enlighten. On top of that, if you have an Enlightened, but you don't have reduced mana cost of skills, you can spec into the reduced mana cost of skills, and on your life mastery, you can look at the bottom one. If you spec that one as well, skills cost life instead of 30% of mana cost, you will also be entirely free or close to free on every single cast that you will do. So you won't even need the enchantment. Of course, the enchantment is preferred because it saves you a bunch of points. But prior to having the enchantment, that's what I was running, and I only just switched, and it feels so much better. But yes, it's baby steps. We are really in this point where every single step we take into perfection enhances the build in a significant and noticeable way. I'm actually currently trying to craft a basic life recoup damage gem for here, as well as I'm looking for very specific timeless jewels to make sure that I can leverage flask charge gained on certain nodes right here. Ballistics, most likely charisma, and wasting preferably. Maybe a little bit of revenge of the hunted, who knows. Because that will help massively with the flasks, as well as we still have a lot of space for clusters. I did pick up my fasting and spiked concoction, which is very mandatory. Also sniped a lovely Watcher's Eyes. You can see we have the vitality and the cold damage. And we have the enduring composure right here. But yeah, I'm still looking for another medium cluster. We're looking maybe for flow of life. A brute for potency is what I would prefer. I might settle for a peak vigor with brute for potency on a different type of medium cluster, because I believe that can be crafted on an increased flask effect duration, where the flow of life variant can only be crafted on a damage over time cluster, which might come at a premium because there's a lot of damage over time builds right now. So be wary of that. Of course, this has been phenomenal as well. The Circle of Life plus the Recovery Mastery makes this feel so much better, so much sooner. Last league, Doubleganger was a little spicy, but with this Recovery Mastery as well as the recovery on the rings, the damage, tier 1 damage taken, recoup this life, it's night and day. I feel immortal already. I'm tanking things that I should not be allowed to tank as a result of our wonderful Doubleganger. As you can see, I've picked up a nice max roll one. I'm currently saving up for a health enchant as well, maybe for some 30% quality. Who knows? We have options. If you are, however, finding yourself not at max poison chance, like myself, for example, this is another thing a lot of people ask me about. Chance to poison, 90%. We have a mastery right here that gives us 20% chance to poison on cursed enemies. We have an auto cursor with the cast and damage taken link. So this is pretty much up all the time. However, of course, we want true 100% if we can help it, which requires a Herald of Agony old quality, or preferably even so, a change here on the implicit, because we can push this all the way up to 25%, I think, if you really want to enhance it to the max. But I think if you use... It's not... Is it the Grand or the other one? It's one of the improved... yeah, it's the Grand one. The one that's over here that I currently am out of. You can actually find yourself already being poison capped. You're aiming for a minimal of 15%. I believe I also show that on my POB. Links below. Aside from that, yes, we have no Progenesis. We're just using a regular Amethyst flask. It's just what I had lying around, so that's how I get most of my Chaos resistance as well. We're using a Silver Flask. I went over this in the POB video. Silver Flask can now be affected by buff effects since 3.2. So this has been an incredible boost of power. We're still using a Quicksilver. I will be recrafting some of these flasks based on what I have available once I get a Progenesis, which is on my list of things to get. But other than that, it has been quite a lovely endeavor. Yeah, so I'm using the Eternal Struggle But it's really bad because I don't have culling active on it, which is another thing I still have to do. Now, as you can see, it's actually critical strikes inflict malignant madness if the Eater of World is dominant, because the Eater of World is dominant, which is regrettable, but it is what it is. But yes, the goal would be to switch that to Exarch with a different one, but the stats were really nice on it. So if you can't find a good Eternal Struggle yet, just get a nice stat Ami. Maybe get like a plus Chaos Gem if you can snipe it, or some good life. It's really mostly here just because the massive amount of stats that I currently have based my build around. And the effect of curses is one of the best notes you can hit on the implicits. Unfortunately, you do want the Searing Exarch to be dominant for that culling effect, which is incredibly powerful. So that's on the wish list as well. As you can see, it's fairly simple gear, fairly early. There's still a lot of problems with the build, and I'm already cruising through tier 16s. And I think if I wanted to do some basic bossing, I can probably do it. But yes, this is kind of my update video. If you want to follow me along, you can find me on Twitch daily. Otherwise, you can keep an eye out on PoE Ninja as well. Or just follow the POB links that I have posted in the description box below, or at least the videos that I will link to, because that's what I follow. That's why I made them, because I wanted to follow them myself to have a bit of a direction. But it's mostly about creative problem solving and kind of coming up with solutions together with you folk on the stream. Either way, if nothing else, I have proven to myself and now also to others that we can comfortably do tier 16s, juiced tier 16s, beyond on the map, all that crazy stuff, without even needing that insane level of gear. Maybe, and this is prematurely, next league we can actually league start with Forbidden Rite. I have some ideas, depending on how things change or not. Who knows? I'm excited, but I still have Crucible League. I'm already thinking about, I'm gonna go. I need to start farming. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the stream. Have a good night. Take care. I'm out.